This is the Tigers Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Detroit Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Did it. The Tigers are going to the playoffs. They clinch at Fenway Park with a win over the Boston Red Sox. Final score 2-1. And what a sight on the field. It never gets old. And even as ugly and painful and dreadful and low as some of the moments have been in this month of September, it feels like a weight, a giant weight lifted off the shoulders of the Detroit Tigers as they are going to the playoffs. Welcome into a live Locked On Tigers postcast. I am your host, Jake Riepma. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake_Riepma. This is the Locked On Tigers postgame show, free and available wherever you get your podcasts and, of course, on YouTube. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team each and every day. Shout out to the everydayers that were with us every single game of this season for the highs and the lows. And alas, it all culminates with a postseason berth, and we will await to see the results of the Cleveland Guardians game against the Texas Rangers, and if the Tigers have a chance to earn a AL Central Division title. But no matter what happens the rest of the way, the Detroit Tigers will be playing playoff baseball in 2025. As always, your comments are welcome. We'll have my biggest talking point, our turning point, and our player of the game. But this theme, the theme of this show, is the Tigers heading back to the postseason for the second consecutive season. And listen, I'll say this, it feels 100% different than it did last year when the Tigers clinched on the Friday night of the final weekend of the regular season. This year they clinch on the Saturday, the final Saturday of the regular season. But my, oh my, the fact that it all came down to this, I'm not going to dwell on that. But hey, let's call it what it is. This has been a tumultuous September, to say the least. A lot of people in the comments, never a doubt. Listen, I know it. We love to joke about it. And hey, for better or for worse, we're all in this together. Misery loves company, but at the same time, how about you celebrate the moments that mean the most? And Dan Dickerson said it on the broadcast just now. This is what it is all about. This is what you live for. This is what you dream of. And game number 161 out of 162, the Tigers clinch and are going to the postseason. Now it all just depends on seeding. And again, if the Tigers can get a little help from the Texas Rangers, just like they did last night with the win over the Cleveland Guardians, and the Tigers can go win tomorrow to earn that Central Division title. Now, look, there's an element of a discussion to be had. Do you play Scoot or do you pitch Scooble tomorrow? Do you give them the rest since you clinched today? You're in the playoffs regardless, or do you go chase that Central Division title and knowing that you need some help from the Texas Rangers? Of course, I think a lot will depend on what happens tonight between the Guardians and the Rangers. But before we get into my biggest talking point, oh no, actually, that's what we got to do right now. And let's get into it. It's our biggest talking point as the Tigers clinch a trip to the postseason.
This is what you'll be talking about.
I can't shake the feeling that it does feel a little bit different here in 2025, but at the beginning of the season, would we have all signed up for, hey, you guys as the Detroit Tigers, as an organization, you're going to the playoffs? Of course, that's what you all sign up for. We don't make any bones about that by any means. And, you know, is there something to be said about limping into the postseason? Dan Dickerson said no on the broadcast. I say yes. But the fact of the matter is, the Detroit Tigers, again, at the beginning of the season, what's the goal? Well, the first one is to make the postseason, and mission accomplished. Anything can happen once you get into the postseason. So the Tigers are heading to the playoffs. And listen, I will say this, that it wasn't the way we expected, especially with a 12.5 game lead in the month of August. And last year, 180 degrees the opposite, where you have less than a 1% chance you sell at the trade deadline and still find a way to make the playoffs. And once you get into the postseason, anything can happen. So all that to say, hey, What a job by the Detroit Tigers. And as ugly as it was in the month of September, they find a way to win that finale in Cleveland. That saved the season. Listen, I think we can all agree if they don't win that game, the season's over. That saved the season. And then even though they had their opportunities last night, they get some help. And I guess we got to give some shout outs because the Angels beating the Astros and, of course, the Guardians losing to the Texas Rangers are a big reason why the Tigers were in this position today and their magic number down to 1. So shout out Mike Trout. Shout out for that home run he had. He had 2 home runs yesterday against the Astros. And shout out to the Texas Rangers. Jack Leiter pitched well for the Rangers yesterday in their win over the Cleveland Guardians. But we got a ton of people tuning in. Want to get to your comments because, alas, again, we all made it. We all made it. And if this is your first stream, first time checking out the Locked On Tigers postcast, or if it's 100 and, I didn't do every game because, again, I know you guys get on me if I miss a game here and there, but we're probably about 140 150 of these, not probably about 140, I'd guess. I guess we could go back and look. But if you're with us every single time or once or everywhere in between, we appreciate it. And let's celebrate the Tigers making it. Amber's up first. She says, what a great game and great win indeed. Demetrius McNeil says, now they are in. Central Division title is still in the Tigers' grasp. On to the next game. DJ, play that song. Kevin Jeffrey says, never a doubt. Very good. Braylon Dennis, let's go. Playoffs, baby. Indeed, indeed. Yes, the Tigers are going to the playoffs. Dennis says, go Tigers. And Gareth Riding says, an amazing game and season. And with that being said, hey, I agree with the Mega Hustle 3-1 third saying go Rangers, because Rangers win tonight. That puts the Tigers up a game in the American League Central. But remember, the Guardians have that tiebreaker. So what has to happen? The Rangers have to win one of the 2 next games, and the Tigers got to win tomorrow. So that being said, it's very, very possible. Boston doesn't have anything left to play for. We saw that today with their starters being rested. Tigers, you could say, has a lot to play for to try to win the Central Division and get that home playoff game beginning Tuesday. So more comments to get into, which we appreciate it. And Soul Blaster 59 says, when it rains, it pours. When it's good, it's really good. Go Motor City Kitties. Very good. Coven's back on. He says, we needed that badly. Nice to see the boys rally. AM says, nice to see, but now we don't get real answers from the front office. I did have that exact same thought. Fat Marv says, LFG. Travis Wayne says, never a doubt. And Tyler Parker said, more times than not, Vest comes through. Indeed, he did. We'll talk more about him in the turning point, but he gets the save, his 23rd of the season. And Keider Montero, really good as well. The Tigers' entire pitching staff, 4 1/3 for Keider Montero, just the 1 earned run. Brent Herter was good with 2 strikeouts in an inning and did not give up a run. Montero again gets a hold. Rafael Montero, the trade deadline acquisition, he pitched an inning and a third, and Tyler Holton gets the win. He's 6-5, an inning and a third. He struck out too. So the bullpen really good. The Tigers offense not great, but Jahmai Jones gets the 2-run single to give this Tigers team the 2 runs that they would ultimately need for the win. Now, I'll get into this in my turning point, but R1VJ4 shouts it out here. Got to win tomorrow. Javi looked good. Got to give it to him. That dive saved a run. Indeed. I mean, I know it was early, but that diving catch saves a run, and it was kind of a bizarre play with the check swing, but anytime a shortstop makes that diving catch with his back to the infield, it's such a tremendous play, and Javi Baez is one of the best in the business in that. Travis Wayne says it seems like Javi is the key to this team. I don't know if I'll say this. He's one of the keys for sure, and he can help this team in a lot of different ways. Okay. Kevin Jeffrey says, why are they popping champagne? They made the playoffs. And I know that was a big discussion. Hey, if they make the playoff, do they in fact pop the champagne given the situation? I'll say this. It's Not many teams make the playoffs in baseball. You play 162 games. It's longer than any other season. You make the playoffs, go celebrate. That's how it is. That's how it works. Mike Doyle's in favor of starting Skubal on Sunday. You got to get that win to get the Central Division. Let's see if the Tigers have listed who their starter is going to be on Sunday. Now, of course, this is always subject to change, but Skubal is still listed as the starting pitcher tomorrow. Okay. People talking smack in the chat. That's okay. That's what makes it fun. That's part of the whole experience here on the live Locked On Tigers postcast. Let's take a quick timeout and keep reading your comments. I'll have my biggest turning point and our player of the game when we come back on a live Locked On Tigers postcast. This episode of the Locked On Tigers postcast is brought to you by Rougiette. Go long, Rougiette. Now, what do you get when you have a bald eagle standing on top of a silverback gorilla riding a T-Rex? Well, you get confidence, pure confidence. And if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougiette Go Long. You've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougiette Go Long. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Rougiette's Go Long isn't just another ED pill. It's a total game changer for confidence. Go Long combines 2 doctor-trusted medications in one dual action formula so you can get hard and go the distance. The effects can last up to 36 hours, and that's confidence all day, all night, and even into the next day. Ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom? Head to Rougiette.com and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for 15% off your first order. That's Rougiette.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Make sure you use our code so they know we sent you. Today's episode of the Locked On Tigers postcast is also brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. And I love FanDuel. It's my favorite betting app to use. It fits however you like. You can combine multiple bets into a little same-game parlay. You can bet player props, and oh yeah, if you've got a hunch on a live bet as the action's unfolding, you can get in on the action that way. It's quick, easy, secure, and the best way to add a little more energy to your viewing experience. So you're ready to play? Download the FanDuel app right now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. The Tigers are going to the postseason, and this is exactly where I wanted to go next. Travis Wayne nails it, and he says, I don't feel confident with how we've played against tough teams the last 2 weeks. Wondering what your confidence level is in this Tigers team heading into the postseason. Now, who the Tigers will play remains to be seen, and what seed the Tigers have is also up in the air, depending on how everything shakes out the rest of tonight and into tomorrow, Sunday, the final day of the regular season. Let's get into our biggest turning point.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Defensively, I'm going to go with the Javi Baez catch because at that time, it saved a run, and we did not know this would be such a low-scoring, runs at a premium type of game. Javi Baez makes a diving catch with runners at the corners to complete the conclusion of the inning, and the Red Sox leave 2 men stranded early. Now, offensively, it's pretty simple. When you score only on 1 hit, it was the Jahmai Jones single to left, scoring Javi Baez and Dylan Dingler, and that made it 2-1 in the 5th inning. So the Tigers able to shake off that 1-0 deficit early on and ultimately get the win. All right, Will Vest in the 9th also turned this game around with a not even turn this game around, but finish the job for the Detroit Tigers. That was huge. How about our player of the game?
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Listen, you could accuse me for being a little bit cheesy here, and that might be the case, but let's go with the whole team, the organization. I know I've been critical. I still listen, you guys know I'm always going to be honest and transparent. I still see Scott Harris on the screen, and my blood boils a little bit. The hair on the back of my neck kind of stands up, and I just get a little bit angry, and I think, oh, I can't stand that guy. But at the same time, he orchestrated a team that is able to reach the postseason, and that's one of several notable goals. And if I'm going to be fair in this, I'm going to give the Tigers credit when credit is due. And they took advantage of a favorable situation that transpired last night with both the Guardians losing and the Houston Astros losing, where all they had to do today was win, and they went out and won. Albeit Boston probably partied their asses off last night after they clinched. Kind of a unique setting where you get one team clinching on the Friday and then the next team clinching on Saturday. And we'll see what happens on Sunday, the final day of the regular season. But let's go with this whole Tigers team, where everybody's rooting for them. We don't know what the postseason holds. Baseball is a funny game, but they're in. They got a ticket to the dance. They got a chance. And we talk all the time about World Series windows. There is no World Series window if you're not in the postseason, and the Tigers are in the postseason. All right, let's wrap it up with some of your comments as we close it out here. Again, Tigers and Red Sox tomorrow, 3:00 first pitch. Let me make sure I said that correctly. I did. Right now, Scooble's scheduled to pitch. We'll see if he does, depending on what happens the rest of the night. Guardians and Rangers later tonight, and then later tonight, Astros and Angels. So depending on when you're listening to this, maybe there's even better news than what I'm reporting right now. All right. Love everybody. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Tigers are going to the postseason, and what seed and whether or not the Central is won by the Detroit Tigers, that all remains to be seen. So that's my best tease to say join us tomorrow after the conclusion of the game. Again, it's a doubleheader tomorrow with the Locked On Lions post-game show. They play the Cleveland Browns early. It's a 1:00 kickoff for the early slate. So depending on when that game ends and that show ends will impact when we're able to go on for the Locked On Tigers post-game show. But do me a favor, like today's video, subscribe to the Locked On Tigers channel and the Locked On Lions channel. You'll get me on the post-game for both of them. Love you guys. And hey, we got playoff baseball. So in some form or another, the Tigers are going to be competing for a World Series, and it starts on Tuesday. Looking forward to that. Thanks as always, all season long. We'll do all of our fun shout outs and everything on the final day of the regular season tomorrow. But I love you guys, and I appreciate everybody tuning in, and we will talk to you tomorrow, whether it be on the Locked On Lions postgame show or the Locked On Tigers postgame show. I'll be on both. Love you guys. Tigers! The Tigers are going to the playoffs. See you.